Mikey Garcia unifies two lightweight straps. What's next for him? We get into all that and a lot more next. Please like and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Welcome back to Tuesday Night Fights. A lot to get into this week. Busy weekend in the sport of boxing. We didn't do a Sunday morning champion episode, so we're going to cover what happened last week today on Tuesday Night Fights, so we're going to change it up a little bit. Mikey Garcia unifies the WBC and IBF 135-pound straps. Two heavyweight contenders in action, plus a crowded, busy weekend of sweet science in the Lone Star State. Let's start with Mikey Garcia. Good performance, solid performance by Mikey Garcia. We wouldn't say spectacular or sensational by any means, but a good, solid performance in taking a unanimous decision over Robert Easter Jr. Did what he was expected to do. Let's put it that way. Dropped him in the third round with a beautiful left hook. The left hook and the right hand were working all night for Mikey. But Easter gave him some difficulties, right? This was not an easy fight by any means. We scored it 9-3 for Mikey Garcia. The judges scored it between 8-4 and 10-2. So we're right in the midst of that. Everyone had it about the same. I mean, Mikey clearly won, plus he had the 2-point round in the third. Good performance by Mikey. Not a star-making performance, not sensational. Easter had some moments, especially early. Was able to keep him away, and Mikey was having some difficulty overcoming the 8-inch reach disadvantage he was at. Easter was able to use his reach and his jab at times to give Mikey difficulties. Mikey's got perfect timing, and Easter was able to keep him at bay. You saw Mikey miss wildly on some shots, which we usually don't see. So Easter had some success, but ultimately that level of class that separates the two came into play, especially in the second half of the fight, where we scored the first, second, and fifth for Easter. Meaning, so from the sixth round on, everything in the second half of the fight we gave to Mikey Garcia. But that means we had it even after five. So, we want to get into that real quickly, too. Is this Robert Easter's best performance? If Robert Easter Jr. is his best win a loss to Mikey Garcia? And we say that in all seriousness, right? When you look at his other step-up fights, we scored the fight for Comey. We thought Easter lost that fight. Then his other two big-name fights, Fortuna and Shafikov, he didn't look really impressive in either of those. We scored both of those for Easter. Very close fights, but we did score them for Easter. A lot of people score them the other way. So, none of those performances were really impressive. So, is Easter's best performance a loss to Mikey Garcia? Did he gain more respect in this fight than he did in any of his 20-some-odd victories? Let us know what you think. Was this Easter's best performance? Does this give him his most credit? Because he hung tough with Mikey. I mean, he lost, and he clearly lost, but he gave it a good show against a fighter who was a huge betting favorite. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Let us know if you think this was Easter's best fight, or what you think was his best fight. We also are interested, we don't know if this is reality. We'd like to see the All-Ohio showdown between Easter and AB, Adrian Broner. Let us know what you think of that. Is that a real fight? Is that something that you guys would like to see? Do you think it's a reality? At 140, obviously. Easter's fought his whole career at 135. I'd like to see him move up. And if he moved up, I think a fight, an All-Ohio showdown with AB would make a lot of sense. Who do you guys think would win that? And is that something you'd like to see? Let us know below. Back to Mikey Garcia. So obviously he's got half of the 135-pound division unified. He's got 2 of the 4 belts. Now, obviously the other 2 belts are on the Bob Arum top-ranked side. Now, Mikey's a promotional free agent. He could make the fight on ESPN against one of those guys, although that doesn't really seem likely. Lomachenko is coming off surgery. He's probably going to take a bit of an easier fight at the end of the year. And Beltran's got a fight coming up against Pedraza, which he could win or lose either way. That belt would stay with Bob Arum. So, becoming undisputed lightweight champion is probably going to have to take a backseat, as I'd say that's a few fights away. If Lomachenko doesn't fight Manny Pacquiao, he'll take a bit of a tune-up fight and then either fight Pacquiao or Beltran, right? So, a Mikey Garcia-Vasil Lomachenko fight, if it does happen, which we consider would be a small miracle when you consider the relationship that Mikey Garcia has with Bob Arum. If it did happen, it's a couple of fights away. Mikey Garcia is now a big lightweight. He walked into the ring last night at 149. Good sized lightweight. What he's not is a welterweight. And it does look like, and I think we are going to get this in November, December. I think we're going to get Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. This potentially could be a pay-per-view fight, which is what they're talking about. Al Heyman's talking about this being a pay-per-view showdown. Again, we understand why both fighters would make this. It's a legacy fight for Mikey Garcia. If he wins that fight, and we're not saying he would, he becomes a 5-division world champion. He joins Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd, Pacquiao, and Oscar as the only guy to do that. That's some pretty prestigious names. And again, we said he's a big lightweight. He's not a welterweight. He'd be a very small welterweight. And he doesn't have the, when Roy Jones Jr. became the heavyweight champion, he was able to keep John Ruiz away from him, right? Ruiz only had one shot in the first round. It was like, ooh, okay, Roy can take a shot, but he didn't take 100 shots, right? Mikey can't keep Spence off of him, right? Spence is too much of a dog. He's too aggressive. He's too composed, and he's too skilled. It's not like he's a slow, plodding bruiser, right? Errol Spence has real skills. It would be a terrible fight for Mikey Garcia. It would be a payday. It would be the biggest payday of his career. It would be a chance, if he won, to raise his stock to pay-per-view superstardom. Between that and being a promotional free agent, he could name his price, right? He would be a superstar if he won that fight. He's not going to win that fight. He should not take that fight. I know he's always sparred bigger men. He's not afraid to move up in weight classes. But you could see at 140, he wasn't big for 140. Lipinich was much bigger than him. You could see how much bigger Lipinich is. And then to go to 147 and fight the biggest guy at 147, that's not good. If Danny Garcia beat Showtime Porter and they want to have an all Garcia fight, Mikey versus Danny, okay, I can see that. I'd still probably lean towards Danny because of the size differential. But okay, if you wanted to fight Pacquiao, now that's a fight. Mikey Garcia versus Pacquiao, they would be roughly the same size. That would be a good fight. And I'd probably pick Mikey in that. But for him to fight Errol Spence, that I haven't met anyone who thinks that's a good idea yet. There's weight classes for a reason. Mikey is a good, solid lightweight. Fight lightweight. There's plenty of guys out there for you to fight. Like we said, fight Luke Campbell. Fight Linares. If you can't make this fight right now with Loma, okay, wait it out. Tank Davis is going to have to come up to 135 real soon. There's a fight. There's names for you to fight at 135. And we said the fight makes sense for Errol Spence, too. Look, Errol Spence wants to get a scalp. He's tired of fighting the Petersons and the Carlos Ocampos of the world. It's tough because Errol Spence wants to fight everyone, and everyone is either busy, like Spence, like Porter and Swift, or not interested in fighting him and running away, like Keith Runtime Thurman. So, it's just not easy for him right now. And there's no chance Pacquiao would fight Errol Spence, and a Terrence Crawford fight would have to be on pay-per-view, and honestly, it's just not ready yet. I don't know exactly who Terrence Crawford's going to fight in the interim, but it's not going to be Errol Spence, not in the next 6 to 12 months. I can promise you that. So, it doesn't leave a whole lot of big names out there, right? Like, Spence could get Swift or Porter, whoever wins that, in the first half of next year, but he's not getting it this year. That fight's in September. They're not turning around 3 months later and fighting them. So what's out there? Well, Mikey Garcia's out there. A pay-per-view showdown. This would do great in my state, Texas. Spence is from Dallas. Mikey Garcia has fought many, many times in Texas, is a draw in Texas. They could probably do this in Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play. They could probably do it there. It would probably do really big numbers. I just don't know what Mikey's... Mikey can't win it. I don't know what Errol's thinking. What does Errol have to gain from this fight? Yeah, it would be a payday. But it's like, okay, do you say... Canelo beat Amir Khan. He looked great in that fight. It's like, no, he fought a guy 2 weight classes smaller than him. Or we all love Rigo, and I picked Rigo to beat Loma. You look at him, and they walk in the ring, you're like, oh, Rigo's in trouble. And then Loma dominates him because he's 2 weight classes bigger. And the same thing with when Kell Brooks stepped in the ring with Triple G. That was a terrible fight. Triple G is a massive puncher for 160. To fight a 147 dude is a big, big, big problem. And that proves to be the case. I don't even know. Spence is a really good boxer, and Mikey is not super athletic where he can just avoid him and stay away from Spence for rounds and rounds at a time. Spence would walk through him, and I think he'd walk through him pretty quickly. Now, Mikey's a tough dude. I think Mikey would last 6-7 rounds, but he would get beat up and maybe beyond repair in doing so. So we think Mikey Garcia, who we love, he's going to stay number 4 on our pound-for-pound list behind Bud, Loma, and Inoue. So, I mean, that's really elite territory that he's in. He's going to stay in that spot. But he should stay at his own weight class, too. Clean out 135 and then go to 140, right? There's going to be a if he wants to go to 140, he could fight it. So he could stay. He could come back to Dallas, stay in Texas, and fight Maurice Hooker. That fight would do well there. Hooker's starting to create a fan base in his home state, in his home city, and Mikey already has that. Or clean out 35, stay at 35. But those are your 2 options. And there's good those are not bad options. There's names at 135, and then there's he could grab another title at 140 if he wanted to with Hooker. And the rest of 140 is going to be tied up in the World Boxing Super Series tournament. On to the heavyweights. 2 big heavyweight fights. Dillian Whyte really, really impressed us. We thought Dillian Whyte was going to get outclassed by Joseph Parker. We thought Parker was going to box his head off and then just hug him and tie him up a lot whenever Whyte got close. That didn't happen. Whyte pretty much, we thought, dominated that fight. Whyte did get dropped in the 12th round, but he got up and ran out the clock and survives. But he dropped Parker twice. In the 9th round, dropped him real bad. And he beat him up on the inside. He was able to get onto the inside, and he did great work. You even saw him, especially in the 8th round, after Parker won the 7th round, pretty handily. And it looked like, okay, maybe this thing is going to swing. In the 8th round, Dillian Whyte came out and won the battle of the jabs with Parker, which we weren't expecting. And in the 9th round, he dropped him bad, hurt him bad, and the fight was pretty much over. The 12th round was really exciting. A lot of back and forth action in the 12th round. And then you saw Whyte get dropped. You saw both fighters fatigued in the 12th round. Two really big heavyweights just letting it go. And Whyte got dropped, but he got up and he ran out the clock and took the obvious clear decision. So what's next for him? Well, we'd like to see him fight another fighter who was in action on Saturday, and that's King Kong Ortiz. And Ortiz put together a good show, 2nd round knockout, and a bit of a tune-up fight coming back from that loss to Deontay Wilder. We really like Ortiz. Good-looking southpaw, 6'6", big, strong. Just he couldn't get on the inside of Wilder, and that's why he lost. And in a rematch, we don't think he'd get on the inside of Wilder, and he'd probably lose again. But a fight with Ortiz and Dillian Whyte would be a really interesting fight. 2 big, hard-hitting, massively hitting heavyweights. There'd be a lot of muscle, a lot of power shots in there. We would favor King Kong Ortiz just because we feel he's a more skilled fighter, throws better combinations. He showed the perfectly placed left hook that he won his last fight with, that he won on Saturday with. If that would drop anybody in the heavyweight division. And Dillian Whyte looked good. He's getting better, but there's still flaws with him. He's still wild. And somebody like King Kong Ortiz that we're pretty sure would take him apart. In a fun fight, in a good fight, but we would lean towards Luis Ortiz in that fight. Let us know what you think. Is that a fight you guys would like to see? I know Ortiz wants to get a rematch with Wilder. That may happen. Dillian White wants to fight Manuel Charr for that version of the WBA, and he's trying to get a fight with either Wilder or Anthony Joshua. I can't see that happening in the foreseeable future. So, look, a Manuel Charr fight would be for some version of the WBA. You know how the WBA is. It might be for the WBA, Chick-fil-A title or the WBA Cup of Noodles belt, but it really wouldn't do anything. A fight with Ortiz, if he could win, would do a lot more for him than a fight with Manuel Charr, even though it's for some version of a belt. So let us know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Let us know if that's a fight you'd want to see and who you'd favor in an Ortiz and Dillian White fight. Finally, we go to our home state, the Lone Star State. Busy, busy, busy weekend in our state. Kicked off Friday night on beIN Sports on a Roy Jones Jr. promotion card. In the main event, a kid we like a lot, 130-pounder Randy Moreno. Boxed beautifully, landed beautiful combinations, excellent head movement, looked really good in the fight. Completely outboxing a veteran named Victor Rosas. It was a showcase show, and the kid Moreno was showcasing a lot of talent. Just looked like the real deal. I mean, beautiful, crisp, clean combinations, and then he'd get out of the way. He was avoiding everything Rosas threw. Beautiful head movement. I mean, the kid is a great athlete with a really good skill set. He's trained by Gil Martinez. He comes out of Vegas. This fight was in Laredo, Texas. I mean, this kid looked good. And then he got hit with a nasty headbutt that opened up a huge gash under his eye. Now, he'd won every round in the fight. And if you didn't see this on beIN Sports, you can get it on YouTube. Nasty headbutt. The replay clearly showed that it was a headbutt. You saw the headbutt and you saw his eye gush open and start going to his eye. Moreno had won every second of the round and then got nailed with a headbutt. After the round, they called the doctor, and the doctor said that he couldn't continue because of the cut. For some reason unknown, the referee ruled that it was a punch. Therefore, Moreno, who had dominated the fight, won every second of the fight, and caught a headbutt, now got a TKO loss. This type of controversy is not new to this kid. If you go back, I think in 2015 or 2016, and this kid's only 22, and he's had his share of bad luck. He lost to a fighter named Tommy Herrera, right? You don't know who that is. No one really does unless you follow Randy Moreno. He got hit with a shot, but more of a balance shot, and it was a clean knockdown. And he got caught with that shot. He bounced right back up because it was a balance shot. He wasn't hurt. He was off balance. He got hit and he went down. Clean knockdown. He got up to find the ref waving the fight off. It was one of the most bizarre endings. Now, he's gotten 2 losses, and one's more controversial than the other. So check this out. His promoter, like I said, is Roy Jones Jr. The CEO of Roy Jones Jr. Promotion, Keith Beltray, said he's going to try to do everything that he can to overturn this. So if you didn't get to see the Randy Moreno fight, check that out. Look into that. Let us know what you think about that. It was really, really weird stoppage. And if you can also look up Randy Moreno's loss to a fighter named Tommy Herrera, which was also a bizarre fight. He wasn't hurting. Got hit with a balance shot, went down fair and square, and jumped right back up. And then the ref waved it off. Really, really weird stuff. On the undercard of that, there was another fighter from Laredo, Texas, named Jorge Castaneda, whose only loss was to Moreno in his last fight. He bounced back really, really nicely. He bullied and beat down Carlos Villarreal, who is trained by Mayweather Sr. and promoted by the Money Team. So Castaneda, who lost the only fight of his career, his only loss came to Moreno. He bounced back nicely on the undercard, and that's another fighter you should watch. But if you watch the two, Moreno's better. Moreno beat him, and Moreno's a really good talent, even though his record is only 12-2, which is, not really fair to him. San Antonio prospect Mario Barrios took care of business on the Mikey Garcia card. We kind of consider his performance similar to Mikey's. It wasn't star-making by any means, but Barrios, he took care of business. Scored a couple knockdowns, 2 knockdowns. over the veteran Jose Ramon. Um, threw a lot of good combinations, right hands, left hook. He was able to walk him down, which is a good sign because Barrios really, really big, 140 pounder. Um, he looked good. He took care of business. He stops him. Nothing spectacular. There's still some flaws that we see with Barrios, but we're big fans. He's at 140 pounds. I think he's 23. He's if he's ready for Maurice Hooker, right? With the 140-pound division going to the World Boxing Super Series, we're not really sure what's going to be out there for him in the immediate future. Probably one more tune-up and then an all-Texas showdown with Mighty Mo Hooker would be a lot of fun. That'd be a really fun fight, and we think that he could capture a title there. We'd have San Antonio versus Dallas, Spurs versus the Mavericks kind of thing. A lot of fun competition there when it's in Texas. You draw both fans, the fan base from San An and the fan base from Dallas. And Barrios is trained by Virgil Hunter, Andre Ward's trainer. He has gotten the most out of fighters, so we really think that the future's high for Barrios. And again, he showed what he's capable of. He showed some skills, but the performance against Ramon was not breathtaking. It wasn't show-stopping by any means, but he took care of business and got an 8th-round stoppage. Another show we wanted to get into in Austin, Texas. Fighter who you may know, Curtis Cloven from Austin, hometown fighter, has a really interesting story. He spent 3 years away from boxing. He lost a decision in Cincinnati to Aaron Pryor Jr. Probably the worst decision in the history of the sport. Honestly, it was that bad. Then he got in some legal trouble. We're not going to get into all that. And he's come back since then. And this was a fighter who was an all-world prospect. And when he lost that fight back in 2013 to Pryor, he stepped away from the sport. Now he's 31 years old. The talent is still there. This was a super athlete. This was a guy out of Austin who was offered all types of track scholarships. So the speed and athleticism is there. Really good, clean punching combinations. If you go, I don't even know if you guys remember Curtis Cloven, but he's got old hyper sensational knockouts. If you pull him up early in his career on YouTube, he's featured a lot on Friday Night Fights. It was a really big prospect. He went away after this loss and he got in some legal trouble. But he's back now. He's run off 3 consecutive wins since coming back. And his last one in Austin, in the Austin Sports Center in Austin, Texas, knocked out a veteran fighter named Raul Caceres in 2 minutes and 29 seconds. Just pummeled him. So he showed what he was capable of. 160-pound division in which he fights in is extremely loaded. So it's going to take a bit to get him back into the mix. But this is a guy at 31. He's not old yet. And he's fighting with a real passion. He could get back into the mix in this division, but he's going to have to stay active and keep putting some good performances together. And finally, on a card outside in Dallas, Texas, in the 100-degree heat, Ray Jimenez, who we're a huge fan of, fought back in February on a Roy Jones Jr. card, headlined that. He fought in an outdoor stadium in Dallas on Saturday. Really impressive. Great combination. You got to see the hand speed on this kid. Fights at 126 as a featherweight. He's growing into that division. He used to fight at 126 because that's where he could get fights. But he's really grown into that division now. He dominated through a shutout performance over a veteran who had over 100 fights by the name of German Moretz. Solid performance. Ray Jimenez at 126, he lost to Chris Diaz in Puerto Rico when they were both prospects, both undefeated prospects. And I use the word loss very, very loosely because Ray Jimenez won that fight. It was in Puerto Rico, and Diaz, it was a competitive fight. It probably could have gone either way, but if you watch it from a neutral standpoint, Jimenez won the fight. And I got to interview him before his fight in February, and I asked what he wanted to do after that fight, and he said he wanted to fight Chris Diaz again. And I said, well, what would you do differently? And we kind of just laughed. He said, I'd not fight him in Puerto Rico, right? So he put on a great performance. You got to see the hand speed. He's a switch hitter. Fights out of both the conventional and southpaw stance. Really, really good prospect. We think he's 25 now, I think. So he's probably about a year away from, getting himself into world title contention. And that was Ray Jimenez, who put on a show, hometown show in Dallas, Texas. But it was a great night of great weekend of boxing in the Lone Star State. Lots of prospects, and then of course Mario Barros, the San Antonio prospect, the biggest prospect of them all, one of the biggest prospects in the sport, put on a solid performance on the Mikey Garcia Robert Easter Jr. undercard. Let us know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Please help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button. Helps with the visibility of the show. For Tuesday Night Fights, this is 3D Boxing signing off. Thank you, and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.